Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Let's simulate a parallel RLC circuit. So let me start a new file here on LTspice RLC. So let me just add RLC. Right, that was easy enough. Let me start wiring this together. While I'm wiring this up, would you rather use a current source in parallel with a resistor or a voltage source in series with a resistor? And from source transformations, you know they're equivalent, right? So since this geometry is all in parallel, I think it's more appropriate to have a current source in parallel, right? Because then when you write the equations, you just use KCL, everything's in parallel. So here, component, let me add, oh, I already had it here, current. Let me flip this around. All right, let's wire this in here. And let's not forget our ground. There we go. Okay, let's put some numbers in here. So it just depends on what you're simulating, right? So I'm just gonna make up numbers. So 1K, 1. And 5 micro, I'll type U for micro. All right, we have some numbers in here. And if you want to do a natural response and a step response, we can simulate that by just having a square wave. So I'm just going to right click, advanced, and we'll use a pulse to construct a square wave. So that's like just turning a switch on and off. So let's say we go from 0 to 1, and then for the pulse to be super steep like a square, I'm just going to say 1 microsecond to rise, 1 microsecond to fall, and then I don't know, how about half a second on and then half a second off, so a total period of 1 second. Okay, we're good. And then let's just run the simulation for 2 seconds. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so what do you want to measure? If I hover here, if you press the Alt key, it turns into current, right? So do you want to measure voltage, or hold down Alt, current. The voltage here, right? Everybody has the same voltage because it's in parallel. If you, here, this is current. So that's current from our source. And then now what do you want to measure? The current through the resistor, inductor, capacitor. We want to measure the current going through the inductor here. Okay, let's see. Let me zoom in a little bit. What do we have here? Underdamped, right? So take a look at this. If I change the resistor, let me cut it in half. What's going to happen? It should be less underdamped. Let's see. Right. Kind of as expected, right? And let's say I decrease this even more, and say 100. What's going to happen? Maybe it'll be overdamped. Let's see. Yep. Overdamped. Okay, now why would you want your circuit to be overdamped or underdamped? Just depends on the situation, right? For example, let's analyze this. Let's click right here and let's just measure a few things. So let's say we're starting up here at 1 amp. Then I'm going to click here again to open another cursor here. Now, this is overdamped, and it's decaying from 1 amp to 0. And how long does it take, let's say, to reach 1% of its target? So we're trying to get to 0. So 1% of that initial 1 amp would be 0.01, right? So 10 milliamps. Okay, so look at the number right here. We want that to be less than 1%, let's say. So under 10, 20, 15, 10, let's go under 10, 9.9. Okay, so, and then look right here. It took 44 milliseconds to reach less than 1% of its target. So remember, 44 milliseconds for this overdamped case. Now let's say we go underdamped. I'm just going to put another number, say. Let's see if that's even underdamped. So 44 milliseconds. Now we're underdamped. How long does it take us to reach less than 1%? Let me zoom in a little. Okay. Okay, so look at this number. We want that to be 9. I mean, just under 10, right? 9.9. How long does that take? 19 milliseconds. Almost twice as fast, right? To reach under 1% of its target. However, look what happened. We wanted to get from 1 down to 0, but look, it overshoots the target. Right? So this is called overshoot. By how much? 12%? Like it overshot the target by 12%. So as an engineer, what's more important? Do you want to reach your target faster, but you're willing to have this overshoot? Or it takes longer to reach your target with no overshoot? And then you can design a solution to meet certain parameters. I'm not sure if I can do it just by trial and error, but let's say if I make this a little bit smaller, I'm going to try and reduce the amount of overshoot here. Let's see if it even works. So that was 12% overshoot. And, you know, we settled, what was it, like within like 20 milliseconds or so, right? Now, what do we got here? Now, let's zoom in a little more. Okay, so now we got, dragging my cursor here, less overshoot, right? 30 milliamps from the original 1 amp, so maybe 3% overshoot. And we're settling in this number, take a look for less than 10 milli. 9.9. For about 15 milliseconds, right? So it's still fast with a little bit, 3% overshoot. And then let's compare again to what we had before with overdamped. Oh, other way around. There. Right here, something like this was no overshoot at all, but then it takes longer to settle, right? Something like 44 milliseconds. Okay, so give this a try, kind of just adjusting the numbers to see the effect and see what you get when it's overdamped or underdamped. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.